right?
6 or subdivision.
Right, this is
Six,
the review
six, yeah,
six covers submissions,
submissions and the review
and
process.
7 covers performance.
Right, performance standards.
Okay. All right, so then what we can do is we can come back to this. Oh wait, let me just go over to this gets to be quite laborious, but anyway. See, this is how we change things around. When we move that definition for adult business into there.
Yeah. Where'd you plug it in? Is that all that blue right there?
Yeah, right there, all that blue.
Okay, yeah.
And then building. Got some formatting things in there, but
Can you have, send that to the office and I'll print that up and I'll make some copies so that we can put it on?
you can go get it yourself from the office.
It's already there?
Yeah, it's sitting on this on the website right now. So that's all. Let's get down to, you can thumb through here real quick. The dwelling, see residence and residential definitions.
Yeah, that's what you said we were gonna do, under dwelling. Yeah. Yeah.
And then we have under height, remember that, we talked a little bit about height. And for a structure, that's what height is, for a tower, for total extended height. I went through and looked at those other definitions and just moved the definitions that were under, wind type projects under here. So they're all under height, so if you look up height, that's where all the height stuff is.
Right, anything that's got a special definition is
Is
there.
that the one that I sent, or was anything taken out of that?
I'm not completely sure on yours for that height issue. If you could comment, because the height, we need to look at a couple different places. There's architectural stuff that I agree with you, that we should look at. And I thought I had made a
That's pretty
comment.
straightforward right there, I mean.
What we need to do is to reconcile shoreland zoning height. We should go look in the shoreland zoning ordinance and just make sure under state shoreland zoning, because there might be a different height for state shoreland zoning than there is for general architectural height.
Otherwise, the point they take it from changed, right?
Right, I think the point they took it from changed. So we might have to have shoreland zoning height.
So that we don't have to make changes to the shoreline zoning ordinance, which becomes more of a
Pain.
pain.
Yeah, we don't have to because the state model has become more liberal. We have a more strict town ordinance
Right.
related to shoreline.
Right, and the problem is, anything you do in that has to be reviewed by them
Oh, I see.
before it
Their
becomes.
interpretation of the strictest.
Right, they don't like your, remember when we first passed this, how many things they didn't like about little definitions and leaving out a word, a term,
That's right.
some of which seemed rather foolish to us.
Fussy little devil.
But you can tell it was a lawyer.
Comment here, this should be addressed in, maybe in lieu, I don't know, of the regulatory compliance, not definition, I forget. There was something we, look at home business again, we wanna look at that. There's comments in here to be looked at. down to all the sound stuff, we tried to what you wanted.
You want my noise?
Well, we haven't done noise yet.
Well, David did. Did you get his email?
I did,
No.
and then I sent you a bunch of links to read, so I didn't stick anything in there yet. In fact, but I had done this before David sent me his email, I just left a blank space in there.
One of them was 142 pages. But it was a good one, there was some good stuff in there. Was that Oakfield or Oakland, or, no, the study.
Oh, yeah, there was this, the main study, there's also a study from Ireland.
Ireland, yeah,
I
it's
think
actually
that-
more interesting.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that one was
Yeah.
very interesting.
It's pretty technical compared to other stuff that you find out there.
Because what it comes down to with noise still is it's any unwanted sound.
Right, yeah,
Well,
There you go.
that's noise
yeah.
to some people. To other people, it's somebody's knocking at the door.
Party time.
Anyway, we should do something with that. I mean, I think that we owe it to get that straightened out. We got that owner operating, partial not participating, partial participating, that's in there. Project boundary, project parcel, I moved that around and pushed that into there so it fit. I moved the qualified independent acoustical consultant in there. And then all of our residence and dwelling things.
Well, okay, so you're still defining
Still
dwelling?
using the word building.
Well, right, because we,
We do have a caveat where if they go to dwelling, it says go to residence.
It's a definition, but not in the body of.
right, because this is basically what the state did with the plumbing code.
Okay.
Okay, so you didn't change it to residence, you left it as dwelling, but put it under residence.
Right. Because it's, dwelling is a thing that people recognize, and they call it, like, if you do, like, a septic system permit, they don't call it a residence, they call it, you know, a single-family dwelling. And then they say go to residence.
Isn't it wonderful how they want to use multiple terms with the same thing?
I know.
Good old English language.
It does make it more confusing,
Language spells differently, mean different things.
Well, go through and read these are all online. You know, at some point, but let's focus on next week first, but in between things. Okay, so now we start with sound, okay? So I think the sound definition, I believe, stayed the same, or was only,
Right, these are
Yeah,
the
that's the
ones
same,
that
right.
Hessler is going to
look at.
look at and say if these are technically correct.
Right, so I moved all of these sound definitions. I put sound, and then I put all of this stuff underneath the sound. Because these are all things that pertain to some kind of sound.
Good.
That's the same as noise.
Sorry?
Is that
No,
the
it's
same as
not.
noise?
Read those links that they sent out from town hall. So, these flood hazard areas, this just got moved, I believe. And then we added a little bit in there about satellite dishes being only over the ones over 4 feet.
Yeah.
Excluding them.
What's that definition of principal structure? What did that say? Right there.
A building other than one which is used for purposes wholly incidental or accessory to the use of another building or used on the same premises. I think we already have that in there,
Okay.
but I think it just was, actually needs to be moved or something. Let's see, structure principle, I think. You go back to the structure. I think I need to change that one to structure principle, under structure or something like that.
Yeah, we had talked last week about putting the first word and then a comma
Yeah.
in the case of
So,
the
principle
modifier.
structure needs to be the structure principle. Cool. There's like a lot of freaking typing in this stuff. A little bit more than I thought it was gonna be. Oh yeah, then the wind stuff. So there's wind energy system, wind energy facility, wind energy facility operational permit, and wind turbine. And then wind firm, that's something, I don't know where that PUD came from, but
It's in there.
it's in there.
It's in there.
And then we did have a little bit of a discussion about yards too, I thought, or no, I know what it was about porches. Oh yeah, and then
Versus decks.
versus decks. So then we have to do something with this.
Right.
Verandas. Behind.
Well, the mitigation waiver just needs to be put in the proper place. We were going to actually state the scenic resources,
Yep.
which are listed in our spot. Actually, they're listed in Article
Well, I
14.
wanna make, oh, okay, so they're in Article 14.
They are in Article 14.
So I can just move those.
Yeah, there's just a list of, I think, 4 or 5 sites.
Okay. And this mitigation waiver, just leave it alone and move it to the right place?
I don't think we talked about making any changes. And the other one I'm still working on, I got tied up this week, did not get finished. I'm trying to combine those into one if it's possible. Just didn't have it. And next week I hope to have a consistent.
Okay. So that's protected locations.
And I'm trying to think just where it appears in here.
Sensitive receptor does seem to be out there in quite a few different places too. So, I mean, I could just move that to the right place or leave it alone for now.
Leave it alone for now, as soon as we see it. when we-
Because one reason I left it there so that it didn't get lost in everything else. Okay, there's that one. So now we go to that one. So we'll call it public comments. You wanna talk about those?
Sure.
Yeah. Is that right with Article 1?
Unfortunately, I got a fairly long comment on that, on the first one.
Well, I'll tell you what, why don't you talk about what you think about it, we can discuss it, and then maybe you can like shorten it and summarize it so I can put it into the planning board response. Or I
So
can-
I can just transfer to you the file.
Yeah, you just email to the Clifton planning board email plus the town email.
Your comments on number 1, I'm going to go ahead and read those off. Paula appears to be right about possible conflicts with state law. Based on this possible conflict, I am suggesting that we revert to the original word rather than place the town in a position of a possible legal challenge.
So that's on the first one.
Which was that, like 1, 3, 3?
Yep, and the actual,
1, 3, 3. Put that up there. But it's at 174.
You need to look at your
And
Article
her-
one.
In her, oh, you're missing page still?
No?
Hang on a second, hang on.
If,
Can you go
right here.
to here? Whoops.
Balancing the property rights, is that what?
No, it's in the amendments.
Hang
She's
on.
using-
I can bring it up, just hang on a second. New tab. Like that. Paragraphs. Article one, view. Okay. So this is what number was it, Bruce?
I'm getting there. Okay. The numbering, your new numbering.
171.
133.
No. The one she's talking about is about amending, and it is
1.7.1.
Oh, yeah, 3, 4,
171 and 174.
She said, okay, she said 3, 174, including the other one.
So for that electoral process,
Yeah. So I am making a motion that we revert to the original language in what was 171 and 174.
How about 2 and 3?
More comments on there. 172,
Hang on a second.
173 is what you're
original
talking about.
document.
But she was, what were you saying that could, her comments include, is 1 through 4?
Yeah, except we didn't make any changes to it.
Well, we did one, or maybe it's an old public hearing. Came from May Shell, that might have been an old change. That one, we get the word shall instead of may.
So that would have been formerly 7A and 7D. A and 7B in Article 1. So we want to go back and leave that as it was.
All right, there are a couple of comments here.
Okay.
And I think, you got it all,
Yeah, I wrote down, I need to get down to get those two straightened out.
okay. And the comments are, I think what must be addressed is Kelso's assertion that MRSA 30-H, Chapter 121, Section 2522, guarantees a citizen petition of a timely vote on a properly presented petition. The exact wording of, record is, on the written petition of a number of voters equal to at least 10% of the number of votes cast in the town at the last gubernatorial election, but in no case less than 10, the municipal officers shall either insert a particular article in the next warrant issued, or shall within 60 days call a special town meeting for its consideration. Note the word either in the actual wording. Paula appears to be assuming that the statute demands that a town meeting be called either in the next warrant issued or within 60 days, whichever is sooner. But that is not what is actually said. Not only that, but it is unclear if the municipal officers must hold the town meeting within 60 days or simply must take action within 60 days to schedule a town meeting at some future date. Two entirely different things. MMA may be able to clarify these 2 points. But
Well, if we go back to the
you
original
can-
language, we'll be all right.
We'll be all right as far as the state is concerned. But what it amounts to is a select person, so let's say somebody in June puts a petition in. I see nothing in that ordinance. It doesn't say they can't wait until next March to address it when the next warrant is issued.
Oh, I see what you're saying. They actually could wait, make them wait 9 months or whatever.
Right, and we were trying to actually make sure that it would be taken care of in the short.
Right.
This was an attempt by the planning board to clarify the amendment procedure and to ensure the maximum participation by the public in any changes to this ordinance. Now, as for her assertion on, in number, where is it? You've got it in 172, public hearing.
Hang on a second, just make sure we go down that far.
Well, it's actually up in there. It's part of that whole
Oh,
thing.
okay, all right.
But if you look at 172 under public hearing, we changed the word from, let's see, we changed it from may to shall on hold a public hearing in any proposed amendment. The planning board purpose was to assure the citizens, and I'd like to leave that in, is to assure the citizens of the town of Clifton that the planning board will take no actions without complete public disclosure and participation.
Well, I'll tell you what we can do with this is, what we have done before is we put all the stuff down here, so if you send me a Word document or whatever, I'll post that document.
Well, you have a place to post them right next to her, because I've got separate ones for each one of her
Oh,
comments.
no, I realize I was gonna recommend, because I can't put a document in there.
Yes, you can.
Right there, I can put a document?
Yes. You just have to be signed in. I didn't do it, of course, because this would have to be approved by the planning board. But, yes, you sign in so that your
I didn't know.
administrator,
I didn't know I could put a document there.
yep, just like you did under the comment, you can put one under the response.
Oh, okay. Well, what I was gonna recommend that you do is we have like a shorter answer in here, that says, like 3 or 4 sentences, and then put the entire document at the bottom, but we can do it
But
however
we
you want.
can do that as well. I just want to make sure that people understand why we were
I
doing
know, that's
this.
why I wanted to have, like, the short answer would be, Paul Kelso essentially seems to be correct. Number 1, number 2, we're gonna revert to the original language. Number 3, the effort was being made to expedite or ensure that the public could have a meeting or get their problem reconciled in a short period of time as possible. And number 4, your participation comment.
Yeah. And the other part of that very last one was, without holding a public meeting, even for, and I'm taking this language right from Paula, a very trivial, non-controversial amendment, too many citizens now appear ready to charge members of the board with trying to limit public participation or even in trying to slip something by. Paula herself appears to have very strong opinions about what is trivial. And that's why I wanted to change it from may to shall. There's too many times people think, oh, why wasn't a public hearing held?
Yeah.
Okay, so then what you can do, if you can send me a group of documents,
Yeah.
that, like, the first document would be, for the Article 1 response, and then the next one responding.
I've got them all right here.
Yeah, Well, no, just email them to me,
I will.
and then what I'll do, but if you break it into documents instead of all as one, if you want me to actually post a document inside that, like you say I can do,
Okay, yeah, you can just cut and paste.
then I can just take the document and just post it in there.
Yeah, okay. Yep, easy enough.
Bruce, if you do put those comments in, back on, I think it was 171, you commented, or you read from your notes that it was less, but in no case less than 10%, and it's supposed to be 25.
No, 10%.
Yeah, 10%, but in no case less than 25. Did you say 10? In no case less than 10?
10%.
Number of quantity of.
But in no case less than what?
Oh,
25, maybe.
Well, yeah, I probably got that number wrong.
Yeah,
I'll double check. Yeah, 25.
Yeah, it's okay.
Oh, no, the state statute, does the state statute say 10? That's a good question, because I think I may have copied it off the state.
Well, that's what
10
I read.
people?
I'll have to double check that again. You have to go right to that. I'll check the 10 versus 25 number.
All right, I'll get back to you on that. But basically, in a nutshell, we're gonna go back to what we already had.
Yeah. That way there, we don't have to worry about any legal liabilities.
On 2 and 3.
Right. Okay.
Well, on 1 and 4.
Yeah, 1 and 4 going back.
That 2 you want to keep shall and not.
I still think we should keep shall.
Yeah.
So I'm only gonna go back and change A and D. I'm not gonna change the other, the shall
Well, how does the board feel about that? I still vote for
No,
shall.
I had to write it back in again this time, because when Eric first printed this, it still had May in there.
Yeah.
So is the corrected version have,
Let me just go look right now. So we said it's in
Two. Yes, shall.
172?
Shall.
shall.
Yeah, you did change it, okay.
Okay.
I just don't have an updated one.
Yeah, there's the shall.
And the other one that I hand wrote in on, 174, was within 30 days after receiving the proposed?
Well, again, we're gonna have to just go back to the,
Yeah. Okay, all right.
basically to the state language.
All right,
Article 2.
so this one was like,
Two, 1, 4. You think it's a
Well,
good idea?
she agreed with us on two, so there's really no comment needed for us.
okay. All right. Next one is on Article 1, 1.3.1.9. Do you have any comments about that one?
Comments pretty much what we said, while we were doing it. The word implement implies a strict adherence and interpretation of the Clifton Comprehensive Plan that is not appropriate to addressing changes in land use, demographics, or development.
Dave? What's this one?
More,
I've spent a good part of this week reading the entire comprehensive plan. I have to tell you, it's a good document in most ways. But it has a bunch of things in there that the planning board is supposed to have done. A lot of them were supposed to be finished 5 years ago. And the same way for the select board, and it's like,
one makes it, promote is discretionary,
Yeah.
and implement is more of a requirement. I guess that's where you need to
right,
evaluate.
and even the state law, basically, remember we've had this argument before, says the comprehensive plan is a guide.
Well, that's
It's
it,
not-
because
The
it's,
comprehensive plan's available on this website.
Okay.
If you download the whole thing, you will spend some time. It's actually, in many ways, very good. There was a lot of work put in. I'd have to compliment the people who worked on
and
it.
then when you use implement, it gets very, very specific. And then you have different interpretations of language, how people view something, whether what one person's scenic view might be a pigsty for another person.
Well, why haven't you started this commission? Why haven't you done this? Why haven't you done that? Because at the end of many of the written sections of articles, there is a long list of things the planning board is supposed to do or have done. The select board is supposed to do or have done.
It's Clifton, it's not.
You'd have to have 100 concerned citizens for all the committees that were supposed to be formed. It's very good, but it's not completely,
All right. And as far as like the last part, you know, if you don't want to implement the comp plan, repeal the LUO and go back to separate ordinances without zoning, I mean, I would say to that, you know, we've made a lot of progress with the, land use ordinance and the zoning in town, and I think over the long haul, it makes a difference, and promoting it will make a difference.
and I think we should pay more attention to some parts of it.
I know, so maybe we could just, maybe make a comment that, we, if you're gonna type it up, maybe make a comment about supporting the zoning and that we should review it and promote certain aspects of the comp plan more than we do. You know, that, we agree with some of that. I don't think it's worth taking the zoning out of town though. I think the zoning is a good thing.
We could say that was just someone who did a lot of writing on it, just a little peeked at. And I disagree with some of the wording.
Right,
Yeah, she's invested a lot of time in
Yeah.
Fred. Those two, I guess, ended up finishing it.
Yes, but she invested a lot of time in all the wording in the LUO as well.
Oh, I know, yeah, she did.
And,
So,
ethics.
That we
The
have,
next one here is the, enforcement. I think that, I think just a simple answer is, you know, this, reduces finger pointing. I mean, do you have an answer for that?
I said, there have been instances where contractors or agents of the landowner have ignored stop work orders by the CEO. This change gives the town specific authority to hold them accountable,
Right.
and that has happened.
Yeah, no, I don't, I agree. And it makes it even for everybody.
Wasn't that your situation over
Yeah,
there?
that was my situation too. Everybody said somebody else told them to do it.
Yeah.
So it's like, we don't care who,
Right, you're all responsible
you're
now.
all responsible, you're all gonna get fined. We may not be able to stop them, but at least you can punish them.
I don't think people aren't gonna hire a contractor to come to Clifton because of that.
They're hungry for work.
Okay, the ethics section.
Okay, well, somebody else can throw in there, I said, an ethics ordinance or policy has nothing to do with the LUO and should be part of overall town policies adopted by the select
Which
board.
is right here.
I think we all agree
State
with that.
laws regarding ethics are already applicable to all town officials.
And this is well written, the one that was adopted.
It's a start, it's a good start.
Yeah, and Paula said at the workshop, she took the Eddington ethics rules and tweaked them. Eddington's section on ethics amounted to 1 page with 5 definitions of conflict of interest. Paula's version ran to 3 pages, including 8 definitions of conflict of interest, including some she could not explain what they covered or defined. Some of the added sections would deny interested party status to people and organizations that the planning board believes should have that status.
I would put those comments right in there.
Yeah, no, I think those will fit in there. I agree with that. I mean, I definitely think if there's an issue with ethics or whatever, it should be looked at, but it should cover everybody, employees, appeals boards, planning board, select board.
Code enforcement
Everybody.
officer,
Oh, I get you.
I mean, even if we're all sworn in, even if this was presented to you before you're swearing in a week or so, you take this home and there's an initial page on the back of it or a signature page, and you come back and you're swearing in, you've signed this,
Right.
yeah, you turn it back in. When
I think
you're
the biggest
sworn in.
issue is it shouldn't just be part of the land use ordinance, it should be part of the,
I don't see it as part of the land use
No.
ordinance.
and I looked at other ordinances in other towns and they don't have anything that's part of the land use ordinance.
Other than Eddington, and you have to understand the politics behind that somewhat.
Yeah, but it's only in the wind turbine part,
Mhm.
it's not in any other part.
That's right.
So if you were building a subdivision, you could do whatever you wanted, but if you're doing wind turbines, you have to follow this ethics section.
Yeah.
Article 3.
Hey, I got a comment when you're ready.
Let me just read it again. Okay, go ahead.
To ensure individual landowners is an impossible standard to meet. And personally, I don't think is appropriate for government to be doing. We should look at changing the wording for the municipal budgets as well. I think she's right. Because we can't ensure no effect on municipal budgets. I'm trying to think what the correct wording should be. And health and safety is added to limit the scope of the ordinance to a reasonable and realistic standard.
Well, plus that's what we
Instead
should
of
be
being
doing.
open-ended.
What did we have before and sure?
Well,
Let me look it up.
should be, maybe,
Well, we had enjoy and then.
I would like to take that out as well.
Yeah, well,
Enjoy?
we scratched it out.
Enjoy.
Yeah, we scratched it out. I don't know.
What about that got
Right
right
in
in?
3-1.
Oh, I scratched it out.
I had it originally scratched out too. Let's see.
word was commit before it changed to ensure. Yeah, we used ensure more than once.
Yeah, that's what I said, I actually agree with her, we probably shouldn't have it there under,
Good, several times.
Yeah, we should change how that's worded.
Ensure.
I'm just, I mean, I know what they're trying to do here, you know. Municipal budget is, well, you can't actually even, you can't insure anything. You can't insure that it's sustainable. There's actually nothing that you can insure. You can promote, that you can encourage, yeah, you can,
yeah, I'm trying to think, just, because that's what you're trying to do.
It's
You
your
can't
target, you're trying to
guarantee it.
achieve your objective. Trying to come up with an idea.
oh yeah, so maybe that's a good idea. So maybe somehow you say it, so it says, you know, about negative impacts from neighboring developments, with the objective or with the goal of,
Oh, that's a good word.
with the goal of protecting the town's municipal budget from unreasonable escalation. With the goal of protecting the town's.
Right, and that is what we are actually trying to do.
Yeah.
Because the plain fact is, if somebody came in tomorrow and said, I'm building 100 units of Section 8 housing over here, you try stopping that.
Yeah.
You're gonna have the feds on you if you try stop outlawing that or stopping it, despite the fact it's services.
With the goal of protecting the town's community budget from unreasonable escalation. Can you, I'll try to have that, can you maybe, since you're gonna send me that like whole thing, that your comment,
Yeah.
I mean, can you maybe try to include that in the comment? It says with the goal of protecting the town's municipal budget from unreasonable,
Okay.
Escalation. and between whatever you write and what I have just written to myself, we'll try to get that, and we'll make and then I'll go back and just make some adjustments to Article 3. Plus, we'll put some comments in the feedback. All right. So Article 2.1.22, what do we do with that?
You suggested a change to that.
Two point one point two point two.
How would you do it, that's all it says?
Well, I think she was looking at this one here.
Oh, we'll get our numbers off?
No, this is 2.1.2.2.3. I think this one that she's okay with. I think what she means is this one.
Yes.
Cause she's saying that if we're the local authority, then what's the point of having the Board of Appeals?
The planning board is.
My comment to that was, since,
Was there.
yeah, since the planning board wrote and administers the ordinance, who would know better what was intended in the wording and interpretation? Whereas some people might, well, I take it this way, that is not what we meant.
I know, and you know what I'm thinking now, I think that she's overthinking it a little bit. I mean, I think as opposed to the developer, the planning board or the applicant, okay? The planning board is interpreting the ordinance, it's not up to the applicant to determine the ordinance of the planning board, it's up to the planning board to determine what we meant. I think that's what the intent of this is, the
If
intention of
somebody
this
comes in and
is,
says, I think it should be interpreted this way, we can say, that was not our intent, this is how it's interpreted.
so maybe you shouldn't say the planning board, maybe to broaden it a little bit, maybe you should say the town will be the interpreter through the planning board or the, I don't know. Well, because if it goes to the appeals board, then clearly the planning board isn't be interpreting it anymore.
That's
She does make a point in that regard.
true, so maybe we should revisit it.
But at that level, the planning board is making the determination, but if somebody disagrees with it, they take another step up for somebody else to make the final determination.
Right.
I mean, you're gonna make decisions whether it is,
I
who
know.
will do it if the planning board does it.
So,
Or if it's gonna cause too big of a conflict, we can leave it out, but
We either would.
basically, the planning board is the determining authority up to the point where it gets passed on somewhere else.
You could leave it with final out of there and then it just determines it until somebody else makes it another one.
so do we just leave it? I mean, say that
Take the word final.
Well, the
Refer to
final determination regarding the completeness of submissions.
Just take the final out, but we'll make the determination at that point.
oh, I see what you're saying.
Somebody else might, the final determination could be the field court.
Right, right.
I mean, that would make it less final.
Basically, it's just stating what we do.
Yeah,
Right.
really.
I think
So-
she's, yeah, I think it could be worded better, but I think she's thinking of something that we're not intending here.
Planning board is the local authority for interpretation.
Yeah. It is, isn't it? Isn't that what we're tabbed to do?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we could just
And
change that
we do
sentence to
make the
that.
final,
Change that to is.
we do make the determination regarding completeness.
Yeah,
Well, when you put final in, what you, remember at another place in here, it says the code enforcement officer works with the applicant. But if you take final out, it means, what if we get into an argument with the code enforcement officer over whether something is complete or not?